For this test, I'll prove that my choice GUI presented after the intro GUI contains a label telling the user to select which instrument to tune the music to, via a spin box below. So I'm entering the name of a valid file, and I click confirm. And as you can see, there is a label present telling me to tune the music if I would like to tune it to a specific instrument, and to do that by selecting the instrument below on this spin box. For the next test, I'll prove that my choice GUI presented after the intro GUI contains a spin box the user can select from to select an instrument to tune the music to. I'm entering a valid document name input, and then as you can see, there is a spin box present that allows me to select from a variety of instruments to tune the music to. For my next test, I will prove that my choice GUI contains a plus button that when pressed brings up the Add Instrument GUI. As you can see, after pressing the plus symbol button, the Add Instrument GUI has appeared. For my next test, I will show that the Add Instrument GUI contains a label telling the user to enter the instrument name into the entry below. I'm entering a valid document into the entry. And now, as I click the plus button, you can see that the Add an Instrument GUI contains a label telling the user to enter the name of the instrument they would like to add into the database, into the entry. For my next test, I will prove that the Add an Instrument GUI contains an entry for the user to enter the name of the instrument they would like to enter into the document. For the next test, I will demonstrate that the Add Instrument GUI contains an entry to enter the instrument name into. I'm entering a valid data input, and as I press the plus button, you can see that the Add an Instrument GUI does contain an entry for the user to enter the name of the instrument they would like to add. For the next test, I will prove the Add an Instrument GUI contains a label telling the user to enter the highest note into the entry below. I'm entering a valid input, and as we press the plus button, we can see that the Add an Instrument GUI does contain a label telling the user to enter the highest note that the entity can play into the entry below. For the next test, I will show that the Add an Instrument GUI contains an entry for the user to enter the highest note into. I'm entering a valid data input. As you can see, as you press the plus button, you can see that an entry is present for the user to enter the highest note the instrument can play into. For the next test, I will demonstrate that the Add an Instrument GUI contains a label telling the user to enter the lowest instrument note into the entry below. I'm entering a valid input, and as you can see, we can see that the Add an Instrument GUI contains an enter the lowest note, a label telling the user to enter the lowest note that the instrument can play into the entry below. For this test, I will demonstrate that the Add an Instrument GUI contains an entry for the user to enter the lowest note that the instrument can play into. This is a valid input, and as you can see, when you press the plus button, there is an entry for the user to enter the lowest note that the instrument can play into. For the next test, I will demonstrate that the Add an Instrument GUI contains a label telling the user to enter the optimal highest note that the instrument can play into the entry below. As you can see, I'm entering a valid data input, and as I press the plus button, we can see that there is a label inside the Add an Instrument GUI telling the user to enter the most optimal high note that the instrument can play into the entry below. For the next test, I will demonstrate that the Add an Instrument GUI contains an entry for the user to enter the optimal highest note that the instrument can play into. This is invalid data input, and as you can see, there is an entry present in the Add an Instrument GUI for the user to enter the most optimal high note that the instrument can play into. For the next test, I will demonstrate that my Add an Instrument GUI contains a label telling the user to enter the lowest optimal note into the entry below. As you can see as I press this, there is a label telling the user to enter the most optimal low note that the instrument can play into the entry below. For the next test, I will demonstrate that there is an entry in the Add an Instrument GUI for the user to enter the optimal lowest note into. As you can see, there is an entry for the user to enter the lowest optimal note the instrument can play. For the next test, I will demonstrate that there is a confirm button present in the Add an Instrument GUI. And as you can see, there is a confirm button present in the Add an Instrument GUI. For the next test, I will demonstrate that when the confirm button of the Add an Instrument GUI is pressed, it enters the new variables into the instrument database. I have already filled in the values, and when I press confirm, as we can see, the trombone is now available where it was not before. For the next test, I will demonstrate that there is a cancel button in the Add Instrument GUI. As you can see, there is a cancel button present in the Add an Instrument GUI. For the next test, I will demonstrate that when the cancel button in the Add an Instrument GUI is pressed, it returns to the previous song available, of the song that was presently being tuned. As you can see, we were editing Cronen's hornpipe, and when we click the cancel button, we can see that Cronen's hornpipe is continuing to be the one edited. For the next test, I will demonstrate that the Choice GUI contains a label telling the user to select whether or not they would like to convert the music from major to minor or vice versa by clicking the radio buttons below. This is a valid. For the next test, I will demonstrate that the Choice GUI contains a label telling the user to select whether or not they would like to convert the song from major to minor via a series of radio buttons or 2 radio buttons. present in the choice GUI. As you can see, there is a label telling the user to select whether or not they would like to change the music from major to a minor, or vice versa, via the radio buttons below. For the next test, I will demonstrate my program contains two radio buttons labeled yes and no that is present in the choice GUI that are selected independently of each other, and allow you to select whether or not they would like to convert the music from major to minor or vice versa. Enter a valid data input, and then as you can see, there are two radio buttons labeled yes and no that are selected independently. That selection is exclusive of one another, so only one can be selected at a given point in time, and they allow the user to select whether or not they would like to convert the music from major to minor. For the next test, I will demonstrate that there is a label in the choice GUI telling the user to enter the amount they would like to transpose the music by into an entry below. I'm entering a valid data input. As you can see, there is a label present in the choice GUI telling the user to select the amount they would like to transpose the music by via entering it into an entry below. For the next test, I will demonstrate how my choice GUI contains an entry that allows the user to select how much they would like to transpose the music by. I'm entering valid data input. And as you can see, there is an entry that allows the user to select how much they would like to transpose the music by entering a number in. For the next test, I will demonstrate that my choice GUI contains a confirm button. This is a valid data input, and as you can see, my choice GUI contains a confirm button. For the next test, I will demonstrate how pressing the confirm button in the choice GUI causes a program to retrieve the values entered. As you can see, I have entered a breakpoint just after these values are retrieved, and we can check the variables here. So, I will enter the valid data input into the intro GUI, select flute, yes, and 2. So I will tune the music to a flute, I will convert from major to minor, and I will shift the music up 2 in pitch. And as I click confirm, the breakpoint kicks in, and we can see that the pitch shift choice has now become 2. The major to minor choice has now become 1, the logical equivalent of true, and instrument choice has now become flute, demonstrating that when the confirm button is pressed, the variables are retrieved from the GUI. For my next test, I will demonstrate that there is a pass button present in the choice GUI. I'm entering the valid input. As you can see, there is a pass button present in the choice GUI. I will now demonstrate that when the pass button in the choice GUI is pressed, it will move on to the next song or onto the saved GUI if no other songs are playing. So I will use the ideal test document for the first demonstration. As you can see, there is one song present. If I click pause, it moves straight onto the saved GUI. use the proper test document, you can see one song, and when I click pause it moves on to the next. Again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and as there are 9 songs present, we can now see that after pressing the pause button, it moves on to the Save GUI as there are no other songs present. I will now demonstrate for when the user selects an instrument to tune the music to, that the program retrieves or calculates the highest and lowest note values of the song in question. So if we go here and enter a valid document and select flute, we'll now see that in find highest lowest, which calculates it, the lowest note place now takes from the value of 4, and the highest note place takes from the value of 13, which are both the lowest and highest notes present in this document. I will now demonstrate in this test that when the user selects to tune the music to a specific instrument, that the program retrieves the instrument's pitch ranges from the database. This is a valid document. As you can see, highest note will take on the value of F with 2 apostrophes. The lowest note will take on the value of D. The optimum high will take on the value of C and 2 apostrophes, and optimum low will take on the value of C with 1 apostrophe. This is identical to the values of flute, which I selected in the thing. And if we have a look, if I open the database, we can see flute, F and 2 shots, D, C with 2 apostrophes, C with 1 apostrophe, and I mean F with 2 apostrophes. As we can see, that shows that the pitch range variables are retrieved from the database. I will now demonstrate that when the user selects a specific instrument to tune music to, that if the music is outside of the pitch's optimal range, it will tune it to be inside the overall pitch range of the instrument. So if I run this, I will show the end product in another video. I will now demonstrate that when the user selects to convert the music from major to minor, that the appropriate changes are done. I will show the results in another video. For this test, I will demonstrate that when the user enters a valid value for transposition of music for a piece of music, that the changes that are required are applied. I will transpose it by the value 2. will show the results in another video. I will now demonstrate, but after going through all the choice GUIs, a saved GUI will appear. As you can see, the saved GUI appears after going through all the available songs to edit. I will now demonstrate the song GUI contains a label telling the user to enter the name of the name they would like the edited document to be saved under. As you can see, there is a label telling the user to enter the name they would like the edited document to be saved under. For the next test, I will demonstrate that there is an entry for the user to enter the name of the name that they would like the edited document to be saved under. As you can see, there is an entry present in the Save GUI that allows me to enter the name I would like the edited document to be saved under. In this test, I will demonstrate that in the Save GUI, there is a Confirm button present. As you can see, there is a Confirm button present in the Save GUI. I will now test that when the Confirm button of the Save GUI is pressed, it retrieves the value present in the entry. I will enter not previously present. Now, as you can see, I have placed a breakpoint here after the value has been set. And as you can see, the target save name takes from a value not previously present. In this test, I will now demonstrate that my Save GUI contains a Cancel button. As you can see, the Save GUI contains a Cancel button. I will now demonstrate in a test that when the Cancel button is pressed, it closes the Save GUI and ends the program. Entering a valid data input, and then when I click the Cancel button, the Save GUI closes and the program ends. I will now demonstrate in a test that when a variable is entered into the Save GUI entry but is not present in the file, that the edited data will be saved in a file under that variable name, under that variable's name or value. So if we enter ideal test document, changes and saved it under the name not previously present. Okay, and if we have a look at the directory that the program is saved in, we can see that no file is called or given such a name. So if we click confirm and we head down, a text file called not previously present is now available, and where it was not before. This demonstrates that when a variable that is not, when a name that is not present in the directory is entered into the entry, the program will save the edited data under that name. I will now demonstrate in a test that when a name is entered into the entry and one document of the same name is found, an overwrite GUI will appear. So if I enter ideal test document .tech, change nothing, and enter not previously present, as we can see, this name is present in the directory as we used it last test to save the edited data under. Okay, so if you have a look and click confirm, an overwrite GUI appears. I will now demonstrate that the overwrite GUI contains a label telling the user. I will now demonstrate that there is a label present in the overwrite GUI telling the users to select whether or not they would like to overwrite the previously existing program via the use of 2 radio buttons. As you can see, there is a label present asking the user whether or not they would like to overwrite the previously existing file via yes or no radio buttons. I will now demonstrate that the overwrite GUI contains a yes radio button and a no radio button that are selected exclusively of one another. Ideal test document. A valid data input. Not changing anything. And if we use that, we can see that there are 2 radio buttons present, one labeled no and one labeled yes, and they are selected exclusively of one another. I will now demonstrate that when the overwrite GUI, contains a confirm button. Changing anything, entering not previously present. As you can see, the overwrite GUI contains a confirm button. I will now demonstrate that when the confirm button is pressed, it retrieves the value shared by the 2 radio buttons. Ideal test document. Not changing anything, entering the same. And as you can see, when I click this, confirm, this breakpoint stops it, and I can view the value of overwrite check. And as you can see, the overwrite variable takes the value false from no. I will now demonstrate that the overwrite GUI contains a cancel button. I'm entering a valid data input. As a file for editing. I'm entering not previously present to bring up the overwrite check. And as you can see, if there is a cancel button present. I will now confirm via test that when the Save GUI cancel button is pressed, the overwrite cancel button is pressed, the overwrite GUI disappears, and the Save GUI reappears. I'm entering ideal test document. .tech. Performing no changes and entering not previously present to achieve the overwrite GUI. If I click cancel, the overwrite GUI disappears and the Save GUI reappears. I will now demonstrate that when the yes value is retrieved from the overwrite GUI, the previously existing document will be overwritten. I will be using placeholder.tech to demonstrate this. So, if I run the file, enter ideal test document .tech, perform no changes, and enter placeholder and if you have a look, placeholder, simply just one string. As you can see, if the yes is retrieved, the program closes and placeholder is replaced, its contents are replaced with the edited file. I will now demonstrate that when the no radio button value is returned from the overwrite GUI, that the Save GUI will reappear and the overwrite GUI will disappear. So if we enter ideal test document.tech, and enter not previously present, and we click confirm, and we click confirm, returning the no variable, you can see that the overwrite GUI disappears and the Save GUI reappears.